And welcome back to Blueshirts Buzz, where we talk everything New York Rangers. I'm your host, Matt Piscazzi, with my co-host, John Horton. Definitely check out our Twitter at BlueBuzz26, and let's get right into it today. So, unfortunately, the Rangers are continuing to just take a big old doo-doo on the league here and our fans, and just continue this terrible string of play. I was hoping we'd get on here and have a little bit more exciting, positive news to get out to the masses, but unfortunately we do not. Since we last recorded, we have lost 3 games and won 1 in that 4-game stretch, with that one game being the 4-3, very not convincingly, barely made it on a goal in the last 30 seconds on the power play against the Canadiens win. So not even really happy about that one. I mean, it just, we couldn't get a more convincing performance against one of the worst teams in the league. Nonetheless, we'll get into all of that unfortunately terrible stuff. Try and lighten the mood a little bit in the beginning here. But before we get into all of those slew of things, how are you doing?
Well, based off everything you've just told me and based off everything I've watched with my own 2 eyes, not good. Not good in terms of in the realm of the New York Rangers, I am doing very, very horribly. Everything else though fine. So thank you. Thank you for asking
Fair
that.
enough. Well, I'm glad to hear everything else is going
Yeah.
well. Unfortunately, the Rangers aren't going well for us. One thing that is going well for you is you are winning the first score prediction so far. So,
All right.
well, this one a little fun way to start the episode before all the doom and gloom here. In the 4-3 loss to the Canes, Brodzinski scored first. Neither of us clocked that. Who's
No.
clocking that? That's like when Carrick scored the first goal of the year. In the 3-1 loss to the Flyers, Trocheck scored first. You predictably corrected that. And in the 4-3 win against the Canadiens, Panarin scored first. I did predictably correct that. We had not predicted anybody for the Devils game. We didn't know if we were going to record before the Devils game, after game.
Yeah.
Thought that, yeah. So we just didn't have a prediction for that one. But the scoreline right now, you are winning by 2-1. So early
Okay.
lead, but it's you're not going to get too far away. I'm right on nipping at your heels there.
Good.
And yeah, that's about all the fun for the episode. Now we get into the doom and the doom and the gloom. I'll just real quick kind of intro into all of this. I was particularly disheartened by last night. Of course, we're recording the Tuesday here after the Devils game was last night, Monday. That was particularly disheartening to me, just watching that. We were texting about it. I remember after the first goal, you texted me and you were literally like, "All right, I'm out." They score in the first
Yeah.
couple minutes, and it's just like, really, this is how we want to come out and play against one of our rivals at home at MSG when we're playing the way that we're playing, when we really need to kind of find a point to start turning our season around. So yeah, that was incredibly disheartening. Me being the positive half full guy I am, or glass half full guy I am, I was like, "Oh, I'll keep watching. Like, we'll come back." Yeah, I turned it off when it was 4-0.
Yeah.
That that was terrible. When I got the notification at the end of the second that it was 4-1, I was like, all right, at least we scored a consolation goal. Like, this is, it just absolutely terrible stuff to watch. Just no cohesion, no effort, no energy, no chemistry. Nobody wants it. Nobody really cares. It's been terrible to watch. Which will I know you have some really lovely stats for us to go over here that will just paint the picture of, again, just how hard it's been to watch this team function right now, and how there literally is just no drive, no effort. I don't know. We'll get into it. So without further ado, I think the full on conversation here starts about just how bad this team has been and how unfortunate the rest of the season looks for us right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate to get into it, but that's what we have to do here. Good or bad,
Really, nothing else.
rain
Yeah, that's
or
all we got.
shine. Yeah. So yeah, as of last recording, the Rangers have lost 3-4 against the Carolina Hurricanes, 3-1 against the Philadelphia Flyers. They won 4-3 against the Montreal Canadiens. And of course, as Matt had just mentioned, they lost 5-1 against New Jersey Devils, getting taunted in their own home arena, especially Igor. Just a big absolute mess. The lack of effort, the lack of cohesive play, the lack of leadership, and the lack of camaraderie is actually very, very upsetting. Last night after the game with the Devils, Peter Laviolette had an unusual long time before coming to speak to the media. The media always likes to jump on stuff like that. It's annoying, but it is interesting to point out.
Mm.
He took an extra 30 minutes to come out, and then when asked about it, he said that there were meetings in the room That's all, whatever it might be. And there was beat writers that said, from what I've heard, those impromptu meetings involved both coaches and management. So that is Chris Drury and other members of the front office. So as everyone knows, as the team began to struggle for whatever reason, Heedle got injured, and then Mika fell off a cliff, and the defense continuously got worse. Keandre Miller in a contract year is playing some of the worst hockey we've ever seen. Ryan Langren in a contract year is playing some of the worst hockey we've ever seen. Jacob Trouba has always played the worst hockey we've ever seen. Fox is Fox. He could be better, but he's being dragged down by, I think, a lot of other people. Zach Jones is good, not bad. And Schneider's still the same Schneider. Good here, bad there, middle of the road here. So Chris Drury put a for sale sign as a warning on the locker room. A little bit of a bold strategy, and it seems to have backfired. I can't even speak about how that didn't work. And the locker room has not responded the way they thought. Jacob Trouba looks deflated. He's such a lame duck captain, as a lot of people have described him as. So I pulled a bunch of stats here to show some of the interesting aspects per
Oh boy.
NHL Edge here for a certain aspect. So I thought it was interesting to point out the offensive zone, neutral zone, defensive zone, and the percentage of the time, that the Rangers are spending in there compared to the league average. And it's actually kind of surprising with how close it is. So in terms of the offensive zone, per the 20+ games the Rangers have played this season, they spend 41.8% in the offensive zone. League average is 42.2. So they're slightly, barely under the league average. Neutral zone, 17.4% for the Rangers. League average is 17.8. Again, slightly below, not anything too crazy. Defensive zone, I was like, okay, with how bad the defense has been, like this has to be something alarming and shocking. 40.8% spent in the defensive zone, and the league average is even 40%. So it was shocking. I was like, oh, okay, so they're kind of near that same percentile, nothing really too crazy or off kilter there. And then you look at, I thought maybe skating or speed and whatever that may be. Top skating speed 23.99 for the Rangers. League average is 23.39, so we're above that. Speed burst over 20 miles per hour, 467. League average 530. So that one was a little shocking to see. So that to me, the speed burst shows forecheck and backcheck, and being that below league average kind of shows an issue in terms of that. I think shots on goal, 725 for the Rangers. League average is 711. So we're above that. Shooting percentage, the average is 10.6. We're 10.5. Goals, we have 76. League average 75.4. So in terms of comparing that to the average, the team's average. They're performing average, right? They're not performing above average like some of the other teams, but they're not also statistically performing astronomically horrible, yet the outcomes have been horrible as we've watched. And it's really, really upsetting. Part of it, Mr. $11 million a year, which I will say every time, Igor Shesterkin. Stats here. Over his last 9 starts, Igor Shesterkin is 2-7, 0 overtime losses, with an .882 save percentage and a 3.93 goals against average. Per NHL Edge, when looking at his stats, from the start of the season till now, he has a 3.05 GAA, which is horrible, especially for someone who turned down an $11 million a year contract. League average is 2.86. Overall save percentage is .908 compared to a .901. High danger save, .820 compared to .807 league average. And goals for average, he is at 3.16 per game. League average is 2.97. So yeah, he's playing absolutely horrible hockey. And yes, the defense in front of him has been bad, but if you're, my belief was that he didn't want to be here, which is why he turned that contract down. Your belief is he wanted to bet against himself. I think maybe I would lean towards yours, because that just makes the most sense. But when you're offered a league-breaking contract, why would you turn it down to bet on yourself and then put these numbers up? Now he's doing the Rangers nothing but favors, because if he keeps this up for the rest of the year,
Yeah.
yeah. So it could have been cockiness, and it completely backfired. But then you think, will he still sign here? Will he be like, oh, now I got to go back to the Rangers on my hands and knees and see if they'll give me 8 million a year? He's making 5.6 right now. Or, he's not playing on the 11 million a year. He's not. I don't think he ever really has because
He's
he's a
still going
great
to get a boatload
goaltender.
of money, though. The
I
reality of
think
the
he'll.
situation is he's still going to get a boatload of money.
I think so too. But if he continues to play like this for another 20-game stretch, it's like, how do you justify paying him that? Moving forward, and how
But how would you
bad he
justify
played.
paying anybody on this team is the argument that you could on the flip side of that is the only thing. Like, because I don't want to put I guess my argument in the Igor situation would just be nobody on this team is playing up to par right now. So I have a hard time looking at Igor when he kept the game. Yeah, okay, obviously we ended up losing 5-1 yesterday, but like you still look at some of the saves we forced him to make, and it's like that game could have been 8-1. And so I don't want to keep making excuses for Igor, but also when the whole team, when there is no locker room cohesion, no leadership, this whole team is showing a lackluster performance. There's absolutely no defense in front of him. It's really hard for me to like look at him and be like Igor's playing terrible because he's facing like an astronomical number of breakaways, east west passes, 3-on-2s, 2-on-1s, 4-on-3s. I mean, it's not like the other teams are scoring on us, a large number of these goals that they're scoring are off the rush because we're putting ourselves in bad positions. That's at least I test watching these games. We're giving like we look at like how many breakaways Jack Hughes had to have yesterday, and then we're talking about the one that he missed and the disrespectful move he made and everything like that. But just looking at the way these goals are being scored tells me more about how this team is functioning and less about how Igor is functioning. Obviously, at the end of the day, I think that Igor's bet on himself backfired. He's not playing up to par. He's not making the saves that we need him to make when we need him to make them. But we're also expecting him to be a god amongst men, quite frankly, and he's not. And I think as a fan base, we're getting mad because we're so used to seeing that, and now seeing this whole team functioning this way, we're like, all right, well, at least Igor will play good, and he's not. He's playing okay, actually pretty bad in recent games. But like for me, I take less of that on Igor's shoulder. Like I put less of that on Igor's shoulders. I put it more on the leadership on this team. I also put it on just these guys, this locker room, this feeling in general. I mean, Drury as well. I think at some point there needs to be some accountability from like upper management and the staff as well. You put all this pressure on these guys and you put a for sale sign up. Well, it didn't work. It just made them play worse. So what are you going to do now? Like, what's your response? Because do we start selling? Because if you start selling, where's the leverage? Who are you selling to, and what are we buying? Because then where is this team? Are we committing to a couple years of a retool here? Are we saying we don't want to pay Igor, we don't want to pay these top guys, we want to redo this whole entire core? Like what is our mission then? What's our goal? And is Drury at the helm? So these are a lot of questions that we have now, simply based off of the fact that our past 10-15 games we have looked like a minor league hockey team at points. Something that's been particularly frustrating for me is like the lack of chemistry. It just like watching last night's game, we're just throwing the puck around the ice and hoping someone's there. And
Mhm.
that's not our system. That's no way to run a professional hockey team. You don't just throw the puck to open ice and hope someone's there, because the reality of the situation is that a lot of the times we're not there. A lot of the times, or you put your guys in a 50-50 spot, and we're not going to win a lot of those 50-50 battles because it doesn't even seem like the guys care to win those battles. It really interesting that you brought up like that speed burst stat, because I had kind of interpreted that a little bit differently. To me, I guess I'm thinking more like you're hitting that speed burst when like you get the puck and you're ready to kind of like rush up ice. Something that we've seen a ton of, and it's so painful, is we're trying to force the play in through the neutral zone and into the offensive zone because we're not getting enough pressure. All these guys are feeling the pressure. Oh, I need to score. I need to score. We need to win, right? It's like this heightened level of pressure. And, I know they say pressure makes diamonds, but in a lot of situations, what is flowers will and other things as well. Like there's the flip side of that where people don't always respond well to pressure. And so guys are basically like, they see somebody streak and they're like, oh, let me make this pass. It'll go through, right? And it's like, no, there's a defender right there. You just want it to go through. You're forcing the play. The guy up there sees the puck coming towards him, so he's going to keep driving up the ice. And then lo and behold, it gets picked off in the neutral zone because there's three people in between you and the guy you're trying to just throw the puck to. And then the other team's on a breakaway. And that guy who was about to hit his burst of speed has to stop and turn around and come cover his ass because, oh, look, they have a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-1. So like that's kind of how I was looking at that speed stat. And like eye test for me watching this team really matches up with what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of guys who just want to drive the play in the offensive zone. They don't want to come back on defense. They're not putting that effort into the back check. And when we're turning the puck over, quite frankly, we're not putting ourselves into positions we need to kind of try and stop those opportunities. Like if you notice when these teams get these rush opportunities, a lot of times it's not just that one opportunity. It's not like they get one opportunity, Igor makes a good save, the puck's off to the side of the net, we clear the zone. No, it's like 2 opportunities, it's 3 opportunities because nobody cares. No, where's the drive? The other team is zooming down the ice. I mean, last night the Devils were going 100 miles an hour. It looked like the puck was constantly on their stick, like we had absolutely no chance. We couldn't even keep up. So where is that from our guys? Because we're consistently getting outskated and we're consistently getting outmuscled. We're throwing the puck into open areas, hoping we'll win a 50-50 battle. At this point, that's an 80-20 battle for the other team because there's no drive, there's no effort, there's no chemistry. Nobody's backing each other up. You saw that in the Flyers game. The whole team's tussling with Panarin. Where's the rest of the team? The fact that then we have guys in our our broadcasting team and our organization that are then calling out our players, and it's
Mhm.
just it's so ugly, it's so bleak, and I'm still just scratching my head because I don't understand how there's so much talent on this team but nobody is playing up to their par, like up to par. No,
Yep.
and then I mean the one nice thing you can say is that guys who are deserving of the ice time are getting more ice time. I mean, we saw the lines get kind of shuffled up. Cooley, Trocheck, and Kako have been getting more playing time, which has been really nice because Cooley's actually been a bright spot in this darkness. Trocheck started to pick up his play a little bit, and Kako's actually been pretty consistent, especially playing those minutes with Cooley. So that's been nice. But Lafreniere and Panarin have been kind of okay. I mean, we saw Panarin go off in the Canadiens game, but
Yeah,
Laf hasn't
Laugh
really
has
done.
hasn't really
He's
done anything either.
he hasn't really done anything super impressive. And the one nice thing is that our fourth line has been steady in that you're going to get consistent minutes from them, but they're not really. They're the fourth line. They're not going to break the ice for us. They're not going to win games for us. We can't expect them to go out there and win games for us. It's now the third line of Miko, Kreids, and Smith. That's where we kind of the rubber hits the road here. But it's just after my very long-winded rant that it's
No,
just
yeah.
to kind of put a bow on all that. I think for me, I take that a little bit of the pressure off of Igor just because of everything else that's going on with this team and the positions that we're putting him in. And we're expecting, honestly, I think that we're expecting a little bit too much from him from the positions that we're putting him in. Obviously, like when he gives up that slapper from the point that you're just like, like because every now and then he gives up those goals where he looks up and it's like, you literally just stopped like a one-on-one breakaway, crazy glove side snatch, right? And then you just let one in from the point that you saw the whole way.
Mhm.
Like, which again kind of highlights the mental game. And I think that honestly, that's really the epitome of the mentality of this team and where everyone's heads are at. Um, but before we get into our
Yeah.
little, I
I
guess,
wanted to
end
I wanted to
segue,
play a little devil's
I was
advocate after our
I was gonna say I just
ads.
went on my huge rant, but
It was
probably should have
good.
plugged our ads beforehand. But
It was good
this team is so frustrating. This team is really, I think they're getting me
because of
out
the
of character here. They're
expectations.
they're getting me a little bit more excited than I like to get here. I don't like
Yeah.
to get
Well,
negative, but
yeah, I'll go into our we have 2 sponsors
yeah,
today. I'll go into the first one, then I'll play
absolutely.
a little more devil advocacy
I say
after
we'll
that,
keep rolling it.
even though I agree with most of what you say, if not all of it. Okay, yeah, so of course, sponsors today, starting with DraftKings, of course. 2024-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Excuse me. It's super easy for first timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bets win. So go ahead, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bets win when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Please and thank you.
And there is nothing quite like the experience of a live NHL game. The chill of the ice, the sound of a big hit or a slap shot. Every year I try and go to as many games as possible. This year I can't wait to get to more games, and with Game Time, it'll be easier than ever. Game Time has tickets for all sorts of live sporting and music events too, not just the NHL. And with Game Time picks, you can get the best deal in the shortest time. There's tons of deals on Game Time for you and your family and friends to check out right now. Download the app and you can buy tickets right from your phone. Game Time has great features like panoramic seat views to make sure you love your seats before you buy them, the Game Time lowest price guarantee, or the ticket coverage policy that provides the most flexible customer service policy in the industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time, baby. Oh my God. I'm so off my game. It's game time, baby. That's my favorite part of the ad. And I messed it up.
That's my favorite part too.
Oh,
But
you can tell how this team has me feeling. I'm sweating over here. I'm
good.
messing up my
Good.
game time line. That's my favorite line of the ad. It is
Yeah,
game time, baby. And unfortunately, game time for the Rangers recently has not been as
has
fun
not
to
been
watch.
good. At least
I'm
there's
curious.
a 4-day break. But yeah,
Yes,
I
they
as of
need to get
recording
their
this.
heads straight here. Oof.
Yeah, so I wanted to play slight devil's advocate on what you were saying, and
Okay.
then a few more stats on the defense and Mika and Trocheck specifically. Give our final thoughts. We'll wrap this one up. But so start with the devil's advocacy. I do agree with you in terms of the team in front playing horrible and this and that and whatnot.
Hmm.
But for the devil advocacy part of it, if you have a goalie who's demanding more than 11 million a year, shouldn't they play like it? Shouldn't they kind of carry the team on their back like they're asking to be paid for? Like,
Yeah, I
what do you
mean,
think?
but it's a slippery slope though, because then it could like, okay, when McDavid doesn't score a point, are we all like, oh my God, sound the alarm bells, he didn't get a point today? Like, it at a certain point they are human beings, and like you wouldn't get on McDavid for not putting up a point every single night, because at the end of the day, if he scores 2 points in the next game, or 3 points over the next 5, or 4 points over the next 5, and he ends with 100 plus points, oh, we had a great year. But that game that he didn't score a point, it's not like everybody was like, whoa, wee woo, wee woo, because it's like it's more of a consistency thing. Obviously, we're not seeing consistency from Igor, so it's hard for me to even make that argument. But at a certain point, I think as fans, we have to kind of get take the human aspect back into account as well. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
we can expect him to go out there and ball, but I think we can't expect him to do that every single time, because if we as a team are putting him in that position and then watching him get scored on a breakaway and then raising the alarm and saying, "Oh, he should have saved that," it's like, how though? Because are the other 30, are the other 30 plus teams expecting their goalie to save a one-on-one breakaway every single time? No team is expecting their goalie to save a breakaway every single time. So I
Mhm.
think that we have also, as a fan base, like in New York, an inflated sense of expectations for what we've gotten, because think about it, we went right from Hank to Igor, and then Quick has been an incredible backup for the past couple year here as well. So we've been really spoiled with just incredible goaltending, back to back. And I think that as a fan base, we've honestly are less appreciative of quality goaltending, because like you could look at some of these other teams around the league who have not been as lucky as we are, and who are kind of playing that goalie shuffle and signing goalies in free agency and drafting this guy, and 5 years later they don't pan out, and now they're in the same spot they were 5 years ago, and we haven't been in that spot. And so I think that we're lucky, and sometimes we in New York, we are not as appreciative of good goaltending, just because, like I said, I think we've been spoiled. So I
Mhm.
definitely understand the devil's advocate. Like I get the argument. If you're getting paid that money, you do have to perform on a daily, a daily basis. But we also can't expect him to consistently make in like think about some of the chances that are getting put up against him. Like, we can't expect him to consistently save rush opportunities, breakaways, one-on-ones, two-on-ones, three-on-twos. I mean, it gets to a point where it's not his fault. Obviously, when, like I said, when he's given up that slapper from the point that he sees the whole way, or a guy's right in front of him and he has a clear shot, and he's right there and he doesn't even move, or it's going 5-hole, like there are some goals that Igor gives up where you're sitting there scratching your head and you're like, you want to Vezina, dude. Like, how are you letting that go?
Mhm.
And those goals, that's where I'm sitting here looking at the sky. I'm like, oh, okay, really? You want to get 10 plus mil? You
Right.
kind of got to save that one.
11
But
plus.
like, I don't know, I was just trying to be like, I
That's
don't
all
know,
right. I'm just messing with you.
you know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when I see him give up like a breakaway or a 2-on-1 or like an east-west slapper or something, my immediate reaction is not, Igor, you should have saved that. I'm like, where's the defense? Because in
Yes,
reality,
yes, yes.
that's the biggest problem for me.
Right.
So I certainly get the argument. For me, I take a lot of that weight off of Igor, particularly based on how this team has played recently, because we've done absolutely nothing to help him.
Yes,
That's where,
yes.
that's kind of where I guess
And
my foot would be in the sand, I guess.
no, that makes sense, and that also highlights that exposes what's wrong with this team
Mhm.
is too much dependency on Igor, which I
Yep.
think led him to, if we're leaning towards the reason he rejected that contract was to bet on himself backfiring and not
Mhm.
the I don't want to be here,
Yeah.
that could have led him to betting on himself more like, oh, well, this
Oh,
team
absolutely.
literally needs me. And now he's playing like garbage,
Well, think
basically,
about the play. I
you
mean,
know?
where he was going into this offseason when they started to try and have those conversations, it was right after the postseason when
Yeah.
he literally kept us in a number of like think about the games against the Canes that he literally kept our hopes alive,
Oh,
and the
absolutely.
games, even some of those like early in the against the Caps. Not that the Caps were putting a ton of pressure on us, but there were some times there where the Caps had some really quality opportunities and could have made a game of some of them. You know, like they could have put the pressure on us. They could have made that series last a little bit longer. Obviously, we were able to clutch it out in the end. But then you go into that Kane series and the Panthers series in particular. There were games and there were moments in some of those games where we would go minutes and minutes without, proper shots on net, like actual opportunities, minutes on end where it's basically puck in the neutral zone, pucks back in our zone, puck in the neutral zone, well, pucks back in our zone, cleared out, pucks back in our zone. And like at times like that, Igor was balling, Igor was performing. So coming right off of basically keeping our playoff hopes alive, night in and night out. Obviously, we were doing what we needed to do behind him, but he was a huge part of a lot of those wins and quite frankly kept us in a number of those games. So coming off of that, like, yeah, he's going to say to himself, I've done this for this team for a couple, years now. I just did it to get us to game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. There were a lot of games there and a lot of times where I literally did put this team on my back. Like, why wouldn't I bet on myself?
Mhm.
And at this, like, I don't think anybody expected him. I don't think anybody expected it to be backfiring on him, quite frankly. Like
No,
when I
no,
when I thought
especially
about
this
this,
bad.
I thought if anything, we were gonna have to pay him more because I
Yeah.
thought he was gonna go out here. He was gonna have for me, I was expecting like a Vezina type year here.
So
And he
was I.
like really, I thought
Yep.
he was gonna come out here and he was gonna say, like, all right, screw you. You want me to bet on myself? Well, then you're gonna have to pay me more at the end of this year. And it's nice that we're probably not gonna have to pay him as much, maybe possibly sort of, but at the same time, I'd rather we win hockey games and talk about that later. Like I
Absolutely.
would I would
Yeah, no,
rather
I
him be
agree.
playing like the king and then that's a conversation we can have at a later date, right? But obviously not the situation we're in, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just think it's tough when because the goalie is the only skater that's credited with wins and losses on the
Mhm.
record, and you bet against yourself,
True.
and this is the product you put on the ice, and it also does expose, at least to Chris Drury and the fans, the problem with this core on the reliance on Igor, and
Yep.
then when he does play bad, it's like, oof. And I think there needs to be a level of, which I agree with you. I think the team needs to help him out more. Maybe everyone's in their own mentality. Like Jacob Trouba has been talked about being traded like 5 times now, and
Yep.
Chris Kreider's name was crazy, and, you
Oh my
know,
god, I know.
Mika Zibanejad's playing like an elderly man, even though his points it's just so annoying. Like, you look at his points and it seems different, but, like, he's just playing horrible. Trocheck's not playing great. Panarin is, good, but then now, Laugh's not showing up and so I think overall it's just like a big issue and it's a big like pointing fingers at who the problem is. And you hear the same quote over and over again from all the players in the locker room. It's like we need to figure out who we are. It's like I think us as fans, people who cover the team, and then everyone all together, we thought you did know who you were because
Yeah.
had the President's Trophy last year. It's pretty much the entire same roster except Goodrow was the only
Yep.
leadership piece moved, and yeah, Trouba was tried to be moved on, and like maybe there's other problems, but it just seems like the slump of slumps. And to get into some defensive aspects here too, like Trouba, we know has been horrible. Miller, I hate to say it, been horrible. Lindgren, I went to bat for him all off season, not great. Braden Schneider has been Braden Schneider. Zach Jones has been Zach Jones. Adam Fox has been Adam Fox, but not as much as I would like. So something I thought you'd find interesting too, like on the offensive side of defensemen here, percent of unblocked shots that miss the net. Keandre Miller is at 39%. That's ridiculous. That's insanely
They're
high.
trying to pick corners every single time. And I
Every single
get
time.
the puck on the freaking net. And last night, like particularly against the Devils, if I had to watch one more shot get blocked from the point, you need to
Yes.
find ways to get the puck to the net. If they're
Yes.
selling out, Like, just hit him with a hesitation move or something and go to the side. Like,
The simplest thing.
you have to do something to just try and get that puck to the net. It is not enough to get the puck to the point and just throw a slapper. And that's all we're trying to do. When you see these guys, because there's no chemistry, there's no cohesion, there's no drive, we're not trying to get the puck to the middle of the net. That's a huge issue that this team has had in this early season here is we are literally unable to get the puck to the middle in between the hashes.
Yes.
You're seeing us. That's an interesting point as to I think why that kind of like our numbers, our time on like offensive zone isn't really skewed as much as you think it might be. It's because we're keeping the puck in the zone at times, but all we're doing is just cycling it around the outside, and it looks really nice, but it's a lot of effort and it's a lot of time that goes into past basically what equates to passing the puck between the point. Because as soon as it goes down low, we get into puck battles where they start losing. They just send it back up to the point, or they send it around to the other point, and then it's point to point. Oh, we're keeping it up top. All right, a forward comes up here. Let me exchange with you. I'll come down. Oh, well, I'm going to come back up and then exchange with you, and then get it to the other point. And it's just going back and forth. It's sticking to the outside. All the teams have to do is basically just maintain, a box or a diamond, and just kind of play a loose man or like a little bit of a zone, whatever. They don't really have to reinvent the wheel. It's really easy to defend when we're not trying to drive the middle of the ice. It's not like we're trying to pass it into the slot. It's not like we're taking shots for deflections. And when we do take those shots, we're clearly not doing what we need to do to get those pucks through because they're either getting blocked or we're turning the puck over at the blue line and the other team's going the other way.
Yeah.
Something that has been blaringly obvious is that these defenders our defensemen are so hungry to drive the play in the offensive zone and take the pressure off the forwards and the centers that they're giving up too many chances behind them because we're not picking good times to drive the play. I mean, it's clear as day that the pressure is there and they're feeling it because they're driving the play almost every opportunity they get. And it's like, dude, like we haven't won in how many games? We're losing these games where we're not scoring, that we're giving up breakaway after breakaway after breakaway, but you're continuing to try and drive that play in the offensive zone when you know there's nobody backing up behind you. Like you are the defense, you have to be the one to back up and say, like, all right, this isn't the time. But we're getting overly aggressive. And again, we're giving up opportunities and other teams are taking advantage of us off the rush. That's been probably the biggest issue with this defense is all of the opportunities that we're giving up off the rush.
Yes,
Because we're letting Igor out to dry.
yes, and to your point on that, which I love for defensive metrics, takeaways and giveaways, I think are a very important
I
metric.
bet this is bad.
Yes, because possession is everything in hockey. The
Mm.
absolute number one thing in hockey is possession.
And you can't score if
And
you don't have the puck.
exactly, and the other team can score if they do, and it's so simple, but it's so true. And for defensemen, I think it's absolutely pinpoint. So Jacob Trouba this season has 6 takeaways, right? I think as a defenseman, you should have
God, what does he have,
more
like
than
30
6.
giveaways or something?
He has 23. He has 23
Yeah.
giveaways. And 23 of those giveaways, 19 of them have been in the defensive zone. Horrible.
Yeah.
Keandre Miller, 12 takeaways. Oh, okay. All right. Not bad. 28 giveaways. And of the 28 giveaways, 23 have been in the defensive zone. My God. Ryan
Yeah,
Lindgren, 4
and most of
takeaways.
those giveaways lead right to
Right to a
prime
goal.
opportunities on Igor.
Prime.
All right,
Ryan
start
Lindgren,
playing it.
no problem. Ryan Lindgren, 4 takeaways, 22 giveaways, 14 of them in the defensive zone. Braden Schneider has 3 takeaways and a horrendous 27 giveaways, with 23 of them being in the defensive zone. So Braden Schneider's been horrible with takeaways and giveaways as well. Adam Fox
It's
even
kind of
hasn't been.
uncharacteristic of him, actually.
It is.
He's usually able to move the puck, which like it's kind of annoying that now, like you, dude. It's like even you.
I know. And
I'm
even
curious.
Adam,
Sorry, I need to cut you off right before Foxy
no,
because I'm
no,
curious
no.
about Foxy's number here.
Fox hasn't been really great either. He has 15 takeaways, which is the most, but 27 giveaways, 16 in the defensive zone.
Yeah.
Zach Jones, 7 takeaways, 16 giveaways, 11 in the defensive zone. So
Maybe we can
Miller
hold on to the puck.
Yes, Miller and Schneider both have 23 defensive zone giveaways. Horrible.
Yeah.
19, like they all have double digits, and over a long course of a season, that's probably just going to happen regardless. But the chances that you see, like you're saying, are prime.
Yeah.
And it's just horrendous defense. And I was looking at the offense too. Who do you think on the offense has the most giveaways at 39?
39
On the offense, most giveaways.
Was it Mika?
No, he has 20.
There's no way it's Panarin, is it?
It is not. He has 21.
Okay. Because I was thinking like sometimes he gets a lot of giveaways just because like he's trying to make the play like too
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, like big passes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's really not Mika, huh?
Nope. Nope. He's at 20.
No.
Yeah.
Who is it? It's not It's not Tro.
It's Vinny Trocheck.
Really?
Paints to why he has had so little goals this season and why he's been
Yep.
struggling. The amount of he has
When the puck's not on the
39
stick.
giveaways. Yeah,
When the puck's
pretty
not on your
much.
stick, you can't do anything with it.
He has a 60% faceoff percentage. That's fantastic, but
Well, it's
can
always
we
been
stop giving
fantastic.
the puck away? Like, so it doesn't matter. Like, you win the faceoff sick, then you have a giveaway. So it's like, okay,
Sorry, I'm messing
so
around here. There's freaking my charger's like all being wacky. I can
no,
still
that's
hear you
fine.
though.
And of course, I had to look at shots that missed the net. Artemi Panarin has the most at 49 just because he shoots the most at 79. But Mika Zibanejad has
He's got to be right there at
108.
the top.
Yeah, he has 108 shot attempts. 50 shots are on goal. 23 blocked. 35 shots missed the net. 35.
Well, if I had a dollar every time, how many times? Well, I guess I would have $35 the answer right there. But like, I feel like there are so many times where Mika this year has had the puck in a prime like slot opportunity or like that slapper off a east-west pass, like what we're so used to seeing in the back of the net, and it is just over the top or
Mhm.
off to the side or in the boards or hitting somebody in the face. Oh, and the guy it hit is all the way over there to the right, 30 feet away, not even close to the net. Like it's just so obvious that there's just something wrong with this team, the core, the locker room, the mental game is just not there. It's not there, and it's gross, and it's been super disheartening. Honestly,
So I guess
I'm getting disheartened
no,
now.
me too. Me too. To wrap this episode up of uncertainty and desperation and sadness, if you are Chris Drury, you're in your office, get your computer
Chris
in front of
Drury.
you, get all the people on the phone. Of course, I hope Laviolette is not a consideration of any type of termination. That would be ridiculous. That would solve absolutely nothing. I know in hockey, that's the thing. The
Mhm.
players start playing bad, change the coach, and then you get like a 20-game bump where they play good because now they feel some fire, and then it goes back to the same thing. So if you're Chris Drury, you see who's on the books, you see who's coming off the books at the end of this year. It's December, still a very long season, but things are starting to spiral out of control. What are you doing? What are you thinking? Are you just are you doing I think it's one of two options. A, it's, damn it, like just
Mhm.
ride this out until the off season. We got a ton of people to re-sign, ton of people to walk, some people to trade, see what happens. Or do you continue the, hey, wave the flag, say
Mhm.
for sale sign, like we need to try and get this team. We're in the championship window, and right now we're playing as if we're a rebuilding team. Or I guess C too would be, do you meet with the players? Like, I don't know how often that is with GMs, but maybe you meet
Mhm.
with certain leadership players and say, do you want to be here? If you don't want to be here, where do you want to go? Or if yes, you do want to be here, what's the problem? What's going on? Like what? Like
Mhm.
I'm sure he wouldn't apologize for putting that for sale sign out, and that was his motive. I'm sure he'd say like, I'm not apologetic for that, but I need to see results. Like
Yeah.
if you're Christopher Drury, what do you think? What are you thinking of A, B, or C? Like, what would you? Or maybe you throw in a D if you have something else you think of.
I mean, I doubt he's having meetings with players and everything like that. Like, I don't think he's going into the locker room like with a notepad. Like, do you want to be here? Do you want to be here? Like, it just doesn't happen that way. I do think that he's put himself in a tough position though, because I think at this point, unfortunately, by getting the response that we've gotten to waving that flag and seeing that the players are not responding well, and yeah, seeing that there's kind of some traction. A lot of teams are now scouting us. You see a lot of these teams who are now having like guys in their organization that are at their game, like at our games around the facilities, like whatever. It's like, okay, you've attracted a little bit of attention, but then what does that get us? Because we have no leverage. So if he
Yes.
continues to push the envelope and try and make these moves and like keep it like obvious that we are, kind of abundantly or make it like keep it abundantly clear that we're like looking to make moves, well, then we're in this spot where we're not going to have any kind of advantage in any of these negotiations, no leverage. So what then are we getting back is the problem. Like I then worry that the moves will be more of like, oh, we need to shake up this organization. But then that raises the question of like, sending this flag out, like putting all this heat on the players, did absolutely nothing. So you think just making a crazy move is what that's going to solve it? You
Mhm.
think the players are going to respond well to that? Like if you move Kreider right now, you think this locker room's going to say, "Hey, they just moved my best buddy. Let's go out there and play." Like no, they're going to be like, why would I want to play for you? Yeah, at this point, you're shipping our guys out of here. I don't want to be here, and it's just going to make the locker room worse. So I feel like he's put himself in this spot where he's going to be forced to either make mediocre moves that are to try and kind of put pieces around the core, which is something that we've been doing for years that hasn't worked, or I fear that he's going to try and make a big move to, almost kind of dramatically turn this train and turn this train around, turn the ship in a different direction, whatever you want to say. But I worry that this locker room would not respond well to a move of that caliber at this time. So I think, unfortunately, for us, we just kind of have to stay with the ship. Also, it's really early in the season. Like you don't really see teams make a lot of those bigger moves or really make a lot of moves at all at this point of the season. You don't really see a lot of moves in hockey until you get closer to the trade deadline. When you see those earlier moves, they tend to be of bigger magnitude. So I guess there's always a possibility, but I feel that he's put himself in a really, really tough situation because nobody responded well. Like us as a team, the players did not respond well to the for sale sign going up. The league didn't really care. Like yeah, there's more traction around the team. There's some more people floating around, but at the end of the day, no one's going to bite because they know why would I bite? You're the one that's got to bite the apple. I'll hold it in front of you if you want to come bite it, but I'm not because why would I?
Mhm.
They have all the leverage, right? They have all the players that we want. They have all the picks, like whatever it is. We're in a bad spot here. Drury has put himself in a very, very bad spot, and I don't see an easy way to get out of it. I think that the most logical way to get out of it would be this team to right the ship, but is that happening? I mean, and if it is, it doesn't look like it's happening. It's early in the year here. We could always see a turnaround, but to me, I think Drury's put himself in almost an impossible situation where it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. I just think he has to be really careful about making a big move because I fear that any move that isn't kind of the perfect move for this team or isn't of the right magnitude with the right pieces. Like I think it really depends who you move and who we're bringing back in this locker room. I really don't think that the players would respond well to a ton of a core shakeup at this point, and I just fear that making a panic move to try and right the ship at this point early in the season may end up kind of keeping us in this direction that we're heading of mediocrity and just poor leadership, no cohesion, no chemistry, terrible locker room. Like this is just no way for a team with this much talent on the roster to function day in day out. And it's very surprising. I don't think anybody expected the year to go this way, and it's incredibly disheartening considering that this year in particular looked like it would be probably our last serious shot at that cup for probably a few years, depending on it's only going to get harder, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of my spiel on Dre. I'm curious if you're. I guess I don't know that I really subscribe to A, B, C, or D. I think I really don't know what he should do or what he needs to do. I think it's up to the players at this point because, again, like I said, he's in this kind of impossible situation where what do you do? You're almost damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
So for me, I think more of it's on the players and this locker room and honestly some of this coaching staff, some of these guys to light a fire under these guys, get the motivation going. These are professional hockey players. Like you should be able to motivate yourself and go out there and perform.
Yeah.
So I guess in a short way, I kind of put more of it on the players than Drury. But
Yep.
I'm curious where you're at with Drury.
I think you said it beautifully. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Even Jacob Trouba said it himself. As much as I hate that guy, coming into this season, it was true, and we said it all the time too. Like this season was like, all right, this is going to be our swan song.
Mm-hmm.
All these contracts are coming up. We made it to the championship last year. Um, we've struggled. Let's see what happens. And so far, it has been the exact opposite. It's been
Yep.
babies in the locker room. It's been uncertainty. It's people with one foot out the door, like Truba definitely has one foot out the door. Hopefully, it's both soon. Mika, we saw last season Mika slowly declining, and that was our biggest fear coming into the season. And he's continuing to decline. He has a completely immovable contract. And like if his body just can't react the way he wants it to, it just can't. And it's absolutely upsetting. He's been one of my favorite Rangers for years, but at
Yep.
the end of the day, what has he done for us? Not and that's the thing about New York too. It's what have you done for me lately? It's just how it's always going to be in New York.
Yeah.
I think Chris Drury's hands are tied. What team is going to want aging veterans that have massive contracts and don't perform well on a quote unquote contending team that I thought we were? Um, we would have to hold the bag on like half these players' contracts, which would prevent us from filling those holes that we just created. I do think you can model it after the Florida Panthers and how had a big shakeup, and I mean they got lucky or 1-for-1 to get Matthew to Chuck. Like that really
Mhm.
worked out for them. We could absolutely use a player like that, but it's easier said than done. You got to get
Mhm.
people to bite. Look at Calgary; they got Jonathan Huberdeau, and he blows, and he has a
True.
massive,
You do have to
disgusting
you have to find
contract.
a team that is also in a situation where they're not married to a superstar like
Exactly,
that anymore. And like
exactly, and
we're probably gonna have to give up a little more too on our end as well,
yes,
just because of that just straight up lack of
yes.
leverage in any given situation, right? I mean,
Yeah, and also now other teams have that as like a reference, like, "Ooh, I don't wanna fall into that trap. I don't wanna be
mhm,
Calgary in that situation." And I do agree with, to some extent, Drury holding on and harboring a lot of prospects. I think that's
mhm,
important. But, we missed out on the Eichel thing. Not that I'm the biggest Eichel fan, but you can't deny who he is as a hockey player and what he's done to win a championship. We could use someone like him. Who knows in other trades, maybe they were like, "Hey, here's this great player, but give us one of these prospects," and
mhm,
if you don't pull the trigger on that in a championship window, it's kinda like, it's again, damned if you do, damned if you don't, because let's say you do it, you don't win a championship,
mhm.
and now that prospect's gone. So, 9 out of 10 times, I agree with keeping prospects. The
Yeah,
desperation, though, is kinda tough right now. So, I think Drury's hands are tied. I think this is it for this core this season. I think you have to ride it out. I
yeah,
think you still keep the door cracked, like, "Hey, if anybody wants to trade, everybody wants to make a move, like,
mhm,
let me know." But as sad and depressing and annoying as it is, that is kind of the reality of it just because of the
yeah.
size of the contracts, the age of the players, the degradation of their play. I think that's the
Mhm.
right word I use for that. Degrading
Degradation.
play,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
I
the
think
same
so.
thing. Good. Listeners would, like, roll their eyes if I said something completely wrong. And, I think it's just, we just gotta try and get hyped. We gotta try and hope this team can pull their head out of their ass and
Mhm,
win, because this is it for this team. And if we don't win it this year and this season turns out to be like a missed playoff, perhaps, it's gonna be a massive retool, which retools are better than rebuilds, thankfully, but
yeah, but it
it's
just
gonna
throws us
happen.
into to years of mediocrity and figuring out what this
Exactly.
finding a new identity of this team, who's gonna
Exactly.
lead it, what's the core gonna look like, who's staying,
Yes.
who's going, and questions that I don't think any of this fan
Can
base thought we would have to possibly
Right.
answer at the end of this year,
Artemi
quite
Artemi Panarin has
frankly.
2 years left on his contract. Probably won't re-sign him because 'cause he'll be too old. That'll be a huge contract off the books. Maybe we get another superstar. Can Lafreniere produce on his own without Panarin? That's a huge thing too. Like
Mhm.
that's a concern of mine. That's a conversation for a while from now. But like,
Yeah,
if let's say Panarin leaves and Laf just blows, that would suck. That would hurt. That would break my heart. But
true. It's like he's gotta be
I've
able to
been
find that level of play with other people as well. I
yes,
mean,
and I've been
we
enjoying
haven't
him
really
lately.
yeah, I was gonna say he has been actually he's been kind of a bright spot this year. A little up and
r-
down. I mean, sometimes I think he plays
Recently,
a little bit,
yes,
but also this who on this team hasn't been up and
right.
down. I mean, when you
I agree.
look at the past 4 games and how many goals have we scored in the past 4 games. Let's see. What 5, 6, 10 goals over 4 games. I mean, that's not great. That's only 2.5 goals a game even. So it's like,
Yes,
you know what I mean? It's not like we're actually
I
scoring
agree.
at a clip. We're not running a tight ship here. Offensive isn't producing night in, night out. Like it's just been just almost a gray cloud following this team. And I guess nice little way to end here with the little first score prediction. Hopefully, some predictions for some
Yes.
wins here as well. So I did highlight the Penguins game and the Krakens game because I think we'll probably have one. Um, I mean, we could predict the Blackhawks game as well because it's Sunday is the Seattle game Sunday afternoon, and then the Blackhawks play that Monday the 9th.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to. Yeah,
Just being
maybe
safe,
we'll
we
do
could
that.
throw
I
it
was gonna
in.
say we'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we could always just plug like reinforce that on next episode or whatever.
Yeah.
But for the Penguins game, who do you think scoring first?
I'm gonna go with, hopefully, first of the season. At least I think still he hasn't scored, Adam Fox. That's what I'm going
Foxy.
with.
Okay. I
Yeah, I don't
don't.
think
Yeah,
he's
I don't
scored
think he
yet.
scored yet. No, he had. I think he didn't. He had one goal, but it got called back.
Yeah, which is like, come
Yeah.
on, Fox, what's going on?
All right. I'm gonna ride Mika. I'm gonna ride Mika here.
Ooh,
He plays well against the Penguins historically. He's especially in some of the playoffs and everything. I'm really hoping this one doesn't come back to bite me. Uh, get to the Kraken game here. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Will Cooley.
All right, riding the hot hand. I like it. And I went back and because I couldn't remember off the top of my head. So Laugh had scored the first goal in our last game against the Kraken, that 2-0 win. So I'm gonna ride Laugh here.
Okay,
I think he's gonna score again.
I hope
Why
so.
not?
Hope he scores every game.
Say we were just talking about him a lot as well. Well, I want him to be the first scorer too. I would love him to score in this game. If he could just score first, that would mean a little bit more to me.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
then getting to the Blackhawks, who do you got?
I think I'm gonna go with Panarin.
All right, can't go wrong. I was kind of on the edge of Panarin there. You know what? I will go with his former line mate, not recently, Tro,
Okay,
because I think we need to see more from him. And if honestly, if this
Victor
team is
goes
going
the
to kind of
spoils.
say if this team is going to turn around, he's got to be a big part of it. So
Yeah.
hopefully he could show up in that game at the very least. But that is just about all the ranting I have for tonight. I don't know if you had any final thoughts before we roll out of here.
Now, final thought would be, it's time to show up or not show up or don't show
Mm,
up. This team needs the core leaders and veterans to put the team on their back, go out, score goals, motivate the players, give Igor a little bit of help. Igor also needs to pull his head out of his ass and start stealing some games, as annoying as I know we talked about. But
mhm.
you want the big bucks, not butts. Score, win some games. So I think until Truba or these other leadership players lead by example, nothing's going to change. And who knows?
Mm,
Maybe Laviolette takes them all out to dinner or something this week, and they have a big talk. I don't know, something funny
yeah.
like that.
Who knows what
Again,
it looks like, but there's got to be something there. Some
yes,
there. I mean, it is encouraging that it not encouraging, but it took him that extra half hour to come out before the media. I think that shows you that at least they're aware of it. Like you never, especially in hockey, we don't really hear a lot about what goes on in the building and everything. Like you don't always, you're always kind of wondering yourself, like, are the players or the organization, are they having the same thoughts that we as the fans are having? And I think that kind of sheds a light on the fact that they are aware of what's going on here, and just how just unexpected this is and how surprising this is and how
oh yeah,
uncharacteristic this is of this team considering how much talent there is. So I think my kind of just to put a bow on all this, if we are going to turn this around, it's got to come from within. I think Drury tried to kind of get the team going here, didn't work. I think he tried to put some of those external pressures, get other people kind of get people thinking to themselves about what's going on, who's saying this, and rumblings and everything like that. Well, it didn't work. So at this point, these players have to find the motivation themselves. The coaching staff have to get on them. They have to drive them in practice. You know, when they're bag skating, that needs to kind of set something off in their mind and say to themselves, I don't want to be doing this every day. I don't want us to be in this position. I don't want to be, you know, killing ourselves on and off the ice and it's not equating to anything. You know, I want to be a guy up there talked about as best guy in the league, best team in the league, pushing for the cup. Like that's where I want to be. Well, it's like, okay, well, if that's where you want to be, then act like it. You know, the motivation has to
mhm.
come from within. So hopefully we can see some of this this core kind of pick up the pieces. Will we? Won't we? Who
I
really
pray to
knows?
God.
I
I pray.
that's all we can do at this point is just hope and pray and just believe in the guys. At the end of the day, we just have to believe in this team and this organization and hope that they can kind of put the pieces together. So I guess with that, I guess I'll get my closing thoughts here, and then I'll shoot over to you if you want to ride us out of this one. But thank you all for another episode here. I wish we had more positive stuff to talk about, but I'm sure you are all very aware in Rangerstown it is bleak. Like I had said, there's kind of a cloud following this organization right now. Hopefully, we can get some sunshine soon. Hopefully, we can get some good stuff to talk to you guys about in those coming games. I mean, like I said, we have the Penguins coming up, Kraken coming up, Blackhawks coming up. Those are three very winnable games. Those are three games that maybe this is where we can right the ship a little bit. I don't want to have to keep saying that. I think that's a line that I've probably said a couple times here, considering the way that this team has been functioning recently. But these are winnable games. This could be a get right spot for us. Hopefully it is. I hope you guys are watching. I hope we're all watching when this team starts to try and turn it around and get better here. So thank you all for another great episode here. And hopefully on the next one we have some more positive stuff to talk about. So it's the last you will hear me on this one. I'll shoot over to John to close this out.
Agree with everything Matt said. Hopefully, the next one is fun and exciting to talk about, covering the 3-game stretch. This is it. This is make or break. We are Ranger fans till the day we die, right? Rain or shine. Hopefully, you are too. But completely understand if you don't want to watch games. That your time is valuable. But hopefully, us as fans and the building can get this Rangers team out of their funk, and hopefully they can realize who they are as players and what they have accomplished and what they still can accomplish. It's a long season. It's not like we're having this conversation in April or March. But still, it's time for things to change. The month of December has just begun, and we need to see wins. We need to see a right of a ship. Long 4-day break. Hopefully, things will change, and if not, we'll still be here. So, thank you again for listening. As always, be sure to tune in every week. Check us out, Blue Buzz 26. Have a great day, and we will catch you on the next one.